Well, good morning, our beloveds. Today we are back at what we call ground zero. When the universe brings about storms and trials and tribulations, you may feel like you are being blown about in a dust devil. Picture yourself simply as a leaf that is being blown about. And when that storm finally passes, you settle back down onto the ground. Now, what does this mean? When you are being blown about, there is a lot of distortion. Just picture your two little eyeballs watching the world swirl around. There is nothing consistent or constant or even predictable other than the fact that there is going to be change that is assured. And then when you gently settle back down to the ground and there is no movement, no shift, no change, again, picture your little eyeballs. What does it look like? Predictability, stability, sentience. Your consciousness in those moments can be present and observe and predict and predict. During the time of such massive change, the swirling and twirling in the sky means that you cannot make predictions. You cannot make projections. You simply don't know. So recognize during this swirling and twirling that you have limited choices. You have limited opportunities even. So just allow the storm to occur. Do what you can to be safe. Do not make any major decisions. Definitely no life-altering decisions. Be mindful of what you say and do to others, because neurocognitively, you are not in a good space. You are in fight or flight. You will say things that come from that triggered place. Pause before you speak. Pause before you do. Don't necessarily stop your life, because life does continue. But be mindful and recognize, most importantly, all those other leaves that are swirling and twirling about are in exactly the same circumstance and situation as you, and they also may not or will not be well behaved. Do not judge others by their behavior when they are fearful. It doesn't mean that you don't speak up and say, hey, that didn't feel so good, but recognize that they're not in a state where they are making good decisions. You can either be curious and in a state of expansion, or fear and contraction. And the swirly twirly puts you into the fear or retraction. Unless by chance you are one of that very small percentage of people who really does thrive in that environment. Think of the storm chasers who actively pursue the storms. Most of you are not wired that way. Allow the universe to bring you these challenges right now. We are cleaning house in one form or another. But most importantly, we are trying to remind you all that you are sentient beings, conscious beings, and what that can look like, what that ideally should look like, but most importantly, what would it look like within your construct and not somebody else's. We are shaking things loose. We are shaking people loose. Everything is changing. If you have not watched the videos where they play particular frequencies under a table and pour sand on top, the sand will vibrate, jump, and move into its appropriate location to find where it is meant to be in this beautifully designed pattern where the frequency is beautiful and high vibrational. Learn how water and the vibration in water impacts its crystalline form. Dr. Emoto. When you recognize that everything is frequency, everything is vibration, and that you don't take anything seriously right now because it's best to be light and have some laughter because it keeps you from getting rigid. Find what works, find what doesn't. But recognize when people say things to hurt you, it's not really intentional that they want to hurt you. When they say those words, it's because they are hurting. And by saying those words, they're inviting you in to experience the level of hurt that they are feeling, living with. It doesn't mean that you have to accept poor treatment from others, by others. Never. But we want you to understand it is not personal. They are merely expressing their vibrational pain in a way so that you can feel it too. And when you get angry and upset, if that is where that disconnect comes from versus a misunderstanding which occurs to or another, is remembering a moment right now. But when they really do mean it, it's because they are inviting you in to feel and experience their pain, their hurt, their losses. So maybe one day you can experience others and simply go to a place of compassion where you recognize it has nothing to do with you and they are simply inviting you in so you know what their inner world right now looks and feels like. There are a lot of different options that are available on how to respond. But our and others' favorite is, oh my goodness, it sounds like you are hurting right now. Would you like a hug? Offer them compassion when they are struggling. It is probably the hardest thing to do for humanity, to give others compassion when they do something to hurt you. But we can tell you in most instances, but not all, it will make a difference. There are those who will take advantage of your generosity, but nonetheless, who do you wish to be and how do you wish to show up? That is your choice. As the swirling and twirling continues for much of this year, be mindful of what you add to it. Can you just allow yourself to swirl and twirl, just holding on for dear life until it settles down and you are back on the ground, just being thankful and appreciative that you survived this most recent storm. There's not much you can do. So try not to add to the insult and the hatred that currently is being shared and passed around. There are enough other people who can and will do that. Maybe, just maybe, be the Mahatma Gandhi or the Nelson Mandela agent of change. Whether you like them or not, they did change the world because of their unique perspective on how they were challenged to grow and show up. So find your unique way to be challenged and grow up. Invite the universe in to teach you where you can be an agent of change. But you must ask us. You must invite us in. And we wish for more people to want to grow into more kind, loving, and maybe even complacent human beings. Change sometimes is not all that it's cracked up to be, and maybe being complacent and allowing it to be just a little bit longer because there's purpose is a better way. Find your truth, find your growth, find appreciation for all of the challenges that you go through. Find gratitude for where you find yourselves. Many of you are struggling right now, and to a certain extent, it is intentional. Allow yourself to relax through it. Notice where your body is tight. Do yoga nidra, somatic movement. Find the things that will tune you back into your body so you will notice, explore, and express where you feel the tension, and then see if you can release it. It might be in your jaw or in your head. It might be in your shoulders. It might be in your hips. It might be in your lower back. It might be in your hands. It might be in your knees. It might be in your toes. Where are you holding that tension? Just tune into your body right now and say, where am I not relaxed? Where am I tense and tight? And just observe and feel it. Your bodies are your greatest barometers of where you currently are at and what is to come. Notice it, observe it. The birds will flee before something terrible happens. The animals run as well. Notice how the animal kingdom can etherically sense the shift in something, and they move away. You all have the same wiring, but you have been taught to override or just suppress it with medications, alcohol, other substances. Find what is real to you. Find what is important to you. Pursue it, chase it, love it to death until you yourself become the person who you desire to be. No more cheaters. No more anglers. It's time to fully become erect as the Homo sapien that you are, because you are evolving into the next iteration of the human being. And so it is. Namaste.